Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the largest gated community in North America, spanning 26,000 acres in the Ouachita Mountains in south central Arkansas. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and some occasional guests as we explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. McGraw Realtors, located in the heart of Hot Springs Village, is the fastest growing real estate office with over 30 agents and staff. Executive brokers Lori and Ken Henderson, along with realtor and waterfront specialist Rick Marshall, they're eager to share the special features of Hot Springs Village with you. For a complimentary relocation packet, call Ken and Lori at 501-276-3018 or call Rick Marshall at 501-601-RICK. They are McGraw Realtors of Hot Springs Village. Renaissance Homes builds spec homes ready for sale and custom homes. Brandon Tedder and his team make the process easy. Renaissance Homes incorporates solid construction methods from the ground up. Brandon is a certified green builder. With a fixed price approach, detailed spec sheet, you'll know upfront how much it will cost. Every job has a dedicated project manager and an in-house design expert. From permitting to landscaping, Renaissance Homes is the preferred builder headquartered right here inside Hot Springs Village. This is what happens when you're in the hottest part of the summer. You stay inside and you record indoors. Hey, welcome to Hot Springs Village Inside Out. The website is the exact same name, except .com on the end of it. For short, you can go to hsvinsideout.com. Things that I need to know before we think about moving. This week, I have received more than a handful of emails from people that have discovered the show. Shout out to each of you. I'm glad that you found us. And you've got questions before we think about it and before we plan our first trip over there. What should we know? And so let's see if I can kind of encapsulate this so that you don't necessarily, although I would love for you to go back into the archives and just start watching all the shows. But let's see if we can make this kind of succinct for those of you that are looking at Hot Springs Village as your potential next destination or your first destination for retirement. You know, I'm hearing from so many of you who are in other places where maybe a few years ago you retired to, but circumstances and situations have changed. For instance, I'm hearing from a considerable number of people in Florida and the Carolinas because of all the hurricane damage and insurance companies leaving the states, rates, going up astronomically. Although I will tell you that homeowners insurance has gone up everywhere because of these kinds of events. And here in this part of the country, I've mentioned it before, but we are in Tornado Alley, although the alley has greatly expanded over the course of time. And we have hail damage, and that means roof damage, and roofs aren't cheap. And so homeowners insurance has gone up here too. Now, everything is relative. It's not anything compared to what those of you in Florida are experiencing, or even in parts of the Carolinas. So your situation is yours. And while there are the people who are likely in your situation, one size does not fit all. So this is an important conversation, I think, to have if you are thinking about moving to Hot Springs Village. But let's back up, because today I'm talking to those of you who are not thinking about moving to Hot Springs Village, but you're thinking about moving to Hot Springs Village, if that makes sense. So I want you to get this right. Yes, I want you to exercise some degree of caution and care, but you have not come to a show that's about fear-mongering. I'm ridiculously optimistic about those of us that are in this age bracket at this particular time in life. I was having a conversation just today about the dollar value that we experience at this stage of life. And, of course, the argument is put forth, and you see it all the time in social media. You see these headlines. You'll see something like, my husband and I only have $2.5 million, and we're worried that we won't be able to retire. And then you read it, and, of course, it's some It's some financial person who has claimed to have gotten such an email, and I'm not saying that they didn't, but they got an email, and I'm sitting here thinking $2.5 million, and you're worried about retirement. You're an idiot. You know, how can an idiot get $2.5 million? I don't, that's my question, but hey, what do I know? So I'm having this conversation, and my argument that I put forth, and I could tell the person was pretty perplexed at first. And I said, you know, $1 for me now goes way further than $1 for me went 30 years ago. You know, everybody gets caught up with, oh, this cost of living, and you know, $1 30 years ago was that was $1. You know, but $1 then, you got to have, I don't know, pick a number. You got to have $2 today for that dollar. And I'm like, I don't. And here was my argument. So hear me out before we kind of get into our list of things that you really need to consider and think about before you even visit Hot Springs Village. $1 30 years ago. So we're a family of 4. I got 2 kids, and we got college ahead of us. The kids are in high school. And I don't remember, but I'm sure we had a mortgage. We didn't have a car payment because we've been pretty fanatical about saving up and okay, we're just going to pay cash for a car. But we had a mortgage and we had college ahead of us. Now, admittedly, it was 30 years ago. So I may be not at my peak earning years, but I'm approaching my peak earning years. But $1 today, with it just being me and Rhonda, and we have no debt. We don't owe anybody anything. We put things on credit cards only because I can save, I can get points. I can get 3 to 5% on a credit card, and every month the whole amount gets paid. We don't carry any interest on credit cards. Now that's us. So $1 today for us, $1 today goes a lot further than $1 went for us 30 years ago. And so let's, just for grins and giggles, we'll talk in round numbers. So $100,000 30 years ago in income, well, $100,000 today in that same dollar amount is a way bigger number. All right. It's just, there's not a dollar for dollar comparison because your stage of life and where you're at in life and the lifestyle that you live, that dictates a lot of things. I mention this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mention it because I'm supremely optimistic. I just am. I'm optimistic that the number of us in America who are not multimillionaires, who think that we can't possibly, there's no way we can pull this off. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Now people say, well, can I retire on $2.5 million? Well, it depends. If you want to retire on $2.5 million and you want to live in an 11,000 square foot mansion that's worth, here in Arkansas, I don't know, let's pick a number. Let's call it 1.5. Let's call it 1.5 to $2 million. Okay, could you do it for 2.5 million? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. Given the maintenance and the monthly upkeep and all that. But how many of us, what do you think the percentages would be of those of us that, you and me, that we're looking to live in an 11,000 square foot mansion? Not many of us. Not many of us. And for those that want to, power to you, go for it. Go for it. And if you can pull that off, I'm happy for you. Even if I could financially pull it off, not interested. Just not interested. But that's me. You do you. The point being, the financial consideration is right up front for everybody. It just is. Can we afford to do this? Because I'm hearing from too many of you who made a decision 5, 6, some of you even longer ago, to go to a place and It was affordable then. It ain't affordable now. And understandably, you've got concerns about that. I get it. I completely get it. And I'm going to lead off with this first item being the POA. Hot Springs Village is governed by a property owners association. It's not optional. You will come here, you will buy a lot, or you will buy a house, or you will build a house, and you will be a member of the POA, which will necessarily mean that you will pay an assessment, a monthly assessment. Currently, that monthly assessment for a house is a little over $113 a month. Now, here's the good news. The good news is the members vote. The governing documents of the POA, the members vote whether to increase that assessment or not. So anybody here that owns property or a house, which obviously sits on property, is a member of the POA and has a vote. And so if you're worried about some developer and they're going to up the ante, they're going to up the charge, and there are communities that this is how they operate, that's not how the village operates. Hot Springs Village operates as a property owners association where when it comes to raising the assessment, we all have a say. That's not to say that it won't go up. I can most assuredly promise you it will go up because it needs to go up. It will need to go up. Will it go up astronomically? This place operated for a long, long time where the monthly assessment was well below $100 a month for a house. And most of us freely admit, and I wasn't here, but I talked to people that have been here for 20 years plus, and they freely admit, we really should have raised it before. Because the place needs, we got roads, we got security, we do have some amenities, and we've just got some things, some infrastructure that we certainly need to keep in place. The beginnings of the village are now 55 years old. Well, that's a long time. And so lately we've had some road repairs and we've had some culvert replacement and things like that we just need. Water mains that need to be updated, and our assessments cover all of that. But if you're worried about coming here and, the place is going to get popular and the developer is going to start charging more money, this place operates differently than that. It's governed differently than that, in that assessment is not going to go up unless we all collectively say so. Now, does that mean that your vote is going to be the swing vote? No, it doesn't mean that. But it just means that all of us who are part of this community, and those of us that have made an investment in money, we've bought property here, whether that's a lot or a house, we've made an investment here, we do have a say-so. So that's right up front. So I would have you know before you first come here to know those kinds of rules and the way this place operates. Now, you're not going to understand all of it, but you can understand enough of it to make a sound, safe decision because, come on, this is your wallet. This is your money that's at stake here. So there's that. Secondarily, you have the option of buying a lot, buying an existing home, or building a house. And the building a house could involve, first, we're going to buy a lot, or it could involve, we want to find a lot and buy that lot and immediately build on that lot. So you'll run into all kinds of people who are doing this differently. There are some people who have owned a piece of property here for years and years and years. No intentions of ever building on it. They want to be able to come over here and play golf and pay member rates, which are cheaper than guest rates. And buying an inexpensive lot has been worth it for them. There are other people that they're looking for the lot. They want the lot. And they hope to one day retire and build a house on that lot. There are those people that want to come over here and they want new. They want to build a house right out of the gate. They don't have a lot, but it's all in one fell swoop. So they may contact Brandon Tedder, shout out, sponsor of the show, Renaissance Homes. He builds exclusively here inside the village. So Brandon can get those of you that want to move to the village. You know you want a new home, and you kind of sort of know what you want with a lot. Brandon goes, helps you find the lot, works with realtors, whomever, and he owns some lots, and finds you the ideal lot. You buy the lot, you build a house on it. It's all turnkey kind of a thing. So there's that group of people. Then there's those of you, and this is the bigger group, I think, that want to move over here. You're investigating moving over here, and you buy an existing home. And sometimes you have to wait because maybe you want to be on Lake Balboa. Lake Balboa is the biggest lake, far and away the biggest lake, by 2/3. I mean, it's 900 and some odd acres versus 200 to 300 acres for the other large lakes that are in here. And property might be limited, so you might have to wait. You might have to just keep your powder dry and keep looking and keep looking and keep looking. And when something comes up that is right in your wheelhouse, you pull the trigger on it. So lots are plentiful, and lots over here can be relatively inexpensive. Building is not always easy, nor is it always inexpensive. You've heard me say this before. If you've watched any of the shows that I've done with Brandon Tedder, the Renaissance Homes builder, a lot is not a lot is not a lot. They're different. And the dirt work that's required to build a house on a certain lot can vary wildly. So you could get a good deal on a lot and think, man, that's great. Look at this. Look at this lot. We got this lot. We got 1/3 of an acre, and it's $5,000. And there could be another lot, even on the same street, that's 3 times that. And you think, well, man alive, why would I pay $15,000 for that one and 5 for, well, because it could be a $30,000 difference in just getting the dirt work done on the cheap lot. And now all of a sudden, you're more upside down in that one than you would have been if you'd have bought the more expensive one. That's why, you need an expert when it comes to looking at that kind of thing. But lots are plentiful, and I hear from so many of you who you look at our Facebook group or you look at other groups and you see people that have lots for sale, and some of these are just cheap. And I need to have the title people. I need to have Marla over at Advantage Title. I need to have her back on the show, and I'll plan to do that, to talk to you about the pitfalls of just don't buy a lot from just anybody. You need to be careful because not all lots have clear titles, and there's a whole lot more to it. And I'm not trying to scare you, but I don't want you to get duped either. I want you to be careful. The infrastructure cost, the dirt work, to get the foundation, or is this house going to have a full-blown basement, a walkout basement? Is it going to have a crawl space? Is it going to be a slab on grade? What is this all going to look like? All the lots are buildable, but that doesn't mean that they're all cost-effective to build on. So you need to think about that. This third thing is a growing and increasing thing because of remote work and because of many home-based businesses that so rely on internet connectivity and cell phone service. The coverage inside the village, you will find cell phone coverage, depending on who your carrier is, you will find it could be spotty. I am an AT&T wireless customer, have been for a long, long time, and I split my time between here and DFW, so there's reasons that I've been a customer of theirs for a long, long time. I haven't encountered any issues over here. But there are a lot of plans that are aimed at those of us that are more senior, that are really cost effective. And some of those services, they're great and they're wonderful and they're super inexpensive. But depending on where you're at in the village, the coverage might be somewhat spotty. The same thing goes for internet service. For internet service, it depends on your needs. You're going to be able to get plenty fast enough internet most everywhere in the village. In fact, I don't know of anywhere in the village that you can't get a decent connection. Does that mean it's going to be super fast? No, I'm not saying that. Where I live, I have gigabit service, and that service is perfectly fine. Is it spectacular? No, but it doesn't have to be. My problem in doing shows like this is I'm dealing with big video files, and sometimes I need to upload those files. Most of us are only concerned about download speed. So we watch our TV, we stream our music, we have our email, we do our internet browsing. We're downloading. So that download speed is mostly what everybody cares about. For people like me that create content and put it online, I need good upload speed too. And so that's my unique problem, but I don't think there's that many of us, out there. So you need to consider internet and cell connectivity in the area where you're looking. And especially if you get into some more remote areas, it's just not going to be as good. If you are the only house on a street, it's not likely that your internet connectivity, probably not your cell service either, is going to be as good as if you are in a neighborhood. I'm in a neighborhood. There's a lot of houses in here. Now, we're not cookie cutter, and we're not just right next, we're not just stick your arm out your window and you can touch your neighbor's house, but there's a lot of customers here. And so it just makes business sense when there's a lot of customers here. You're probably going to have more options, and B, the service is probably just going to be better. It just makes sense. But something to think about. Number 4, kind of sort of like that, if we think about internet being a utility, and it is, there are utilities here. And the utilities here, there's actually 3 of them if you include propane. So there are homes that you will find here that may have a gas cooktop. They may have gas jets in a fireplace. And you'll notice maybe they've got a couple of large propane, those stand-up tanks. You don't see those, the big, they look like a miniature of a tanker truck, like you see in farm situations. But you'll see houses that will have these larger stand-up bottles, and usually there'll be 1 or 2, and you'll see them out on the side of a house. And that's either for a gas cooktop and or, like I said, jets in a fireplace. So there's that. And so you've got the cost of propane and whatever that is, and however much you go through. Electricity is the utility here. There is no natural gas inside the village. And there are going to be 2 providers of electricity depending on the county that you're in. So we're in 2 counties. We're in Garland County and we are in Saline County. And so if you really want to dive deeper, once you start looking and you're looking at property and you're thinking about one side of the village or another side of the village, then you're going to be aware that, on the western side, you're in Garland County, and toward the east, you're in Saline County, and it's 2 different electric providers. And the cost can vary. I think they're going to be close. They're going to be in horseshoes and hand grenades close, but they are different providers. The third utility is the one that is controlled by the POA, the Property Owners Association, and that's things like water and trash, and the ambulance service is kind of incorporated in that. And that bill comes every other month. So I just got my bill for the last 2 months, and it's like $200. So it's about $100 a month. And I'm planning a show. I'm going to do a show. I told you that I would. I promised I would, and I'm going to. I'm going to do a show on our first half expenses, and kind of break that down for you. So stay tuned and look for that. Just hit the subscribe button and hit that bell, that notification, and you'll be sure to be aware of it. The utility for the POA, that every other month billing, that's kind of odd. We're used to getting a monthly bill. It's also odd maybe in the sense that you will be billed for 5,000 gallons per month. It doesn't matter what you use. It doesn't matter if you use less than that. You're going to be billed a minimum of 5,000 gallons a month. So you'll be billed for more if you use more. And so that is a little bit different. But again, just something to consider, especially, and most all of this it's got to do with dollars. I mean, come on, let's call it what it is. We're trying to make our dollars go as far as we can make them go. The fifth thing is the amenities. And the amenities, I'm going to classify these into two. We'll call them private and public. And we'll call them private, for instance, you want to go play golf? Let's call that a private amenity. I don't pay anything to play golf because I don't play golf. If I played golf, I'd pay. And if I paid, I'm a member of the POA, I'm going to pay a member rate. However, they got all kinds of programs. So if I wanted to prepay and I wanted to play a lot of golf, then I could buy a package. And that would be even more cost effective for me to do. But golf would be considered a private amenity. Here's my distinction. A private amenity is you pay as you go. And if you don't go, you don't pay. Lakes. The lakes are mostly private, but if you were to rent an Airbnb in here and your host had a kayak and you could get in that, okay, you get in the kayak and you hit the lake. Trails, kind of the same thing. If you have entrance inside the village, you're a guest or a resident, go walk the trails. Go walk the trails. Nobody's asking for ID. Nobody's, it's not a Gestapo here. But there are some things like that are available if you have proper admission inside the village. Take the dog park. I was visiting with Terry Wiley, the Parks and Rec director, and the POA. A dog park here does not work quite like a dog park in a municipality. So back where we lived forever and a day in Bedford, Texas, a couple of really nice dog parks. You got a dog, you take him to the dog park. Nobody's checking anything. You take him to a dog park. There's dog parks all over DFW. You got a dog, you want to go to the dog park? Go to the dog park. Can't do that here. The dog park, you've got to have proper credentials and permission. The POA keeps track, and they want to know the health, the vaccinations of your dog and so forth. And so if you're a guest here, you're not going to be able to participate and take your dog to the dog park, no matter what. You just can't. And you can think, well, that sucks. Well, it may suck, but that's how it is. So these are just some of the little nuances of things, to think about when it comes to public versus private amenities. So the dog park, I would say that's a private amenity. It's a pay-as-you-go. I'm a resident. I don't have a dog. I've had dogs. But if I had a dog, I can't just go swing over to I've got to register my pet. I've got to make sure that I've provided whatever paperwork and documentation the POA needs so that I can, and then I've got to pay some kind of a fee so that I could take my dog to the dog park. I can't just show up and do it. I mention all of this because I think there's some confusion in people thinking that $113 and some change assessment that I talked about, that covers everything. I can play unlimited golf. I can play unlimited pickleball. I got access to the library and the fitness center and the pool and the dog park and whatever. No. The assessment is for infrastructure. Think of the assessment as those things that, we just need it. We need the roads to be paved. We need the water to come on. We just need this infrastructure in place, and to keep that in place. And also, we got police and fire. We got police and fire, and our police and fire, they're funded from those assessments. And so that's what these assessments go to pay. And then these amenities, some of them have no cost. Walking a trail doesn't cost me anything. Being an Airbnb guest and putting a kayak in the water is of no cost to me as a guest. Now, as a host, yes, of course, that kayak has a license, and that license has been issued by the POA. So your host as a property owner here, yes, they will have responsibilities, but you as a guest, you're free to put that kayak in the water. So I hope that helps some. Let's talk about the sixth thing, and that's the gate and the gates. So we have two main gates. We have an east gate and a west gate. These are public gates, and these are manned gates. These are the gates that you will enter if you are coming to visit. And you will check in at the gate. And if you're renting an Airbnb or a VRBO, your host will have notified the gate, probably done online through our member portal that we all have access to if we're members of the POA, and they will have inserted your name and whatever else it requires and the date and the time that you're likely to arrive. And you will check in at the gate, and you will be the guest of that host. You'll have their name. You'll clearly have their address because that's where you're headed. And you'll say, yes, I'm here. And they'll ask, how long are you going to be here? And then they'll write on this placard, they'll write those dates, and it'll be some brightly colored thing that you'll put on the dash of your car. And by putting that on the dash of your car, now the next time when you go outside the gate and you come back inside the gate, they'll see that on your dash and probably just wave you on through. Yep, you'll have to go through the slow lane for them to check that, because there's the right-hand lane, which is the fast lane. It ain't fast. It's 10 miles an hour. But that's the lane for people that have a window sticker, a window decal that shows, hey, I belong here. So the gate and gate access. There are then other gates, 4? Don't quote me on this. I know the 2 or 3 that I use, but I think there's 4 additional gates. And if I'm off by 1, don't hold that against me. These are gates that anybody can leave. Anybody can exit those gates, but not everybody can get back in. You have to have a membership card that has a little chip in it, and you hold that up, and the reader reads the chip, and the gate opens and lets you in. But you could leave. You could exit that gate. It may be quicker to do that. I mention the gates because these are important, especially once you get further along in your journey, to consider, do we want to even think about moving here? And if we do we care about access to the roads that would take us, say, to Little Rock or to Hot Springs? Because not all access is equal. We're blessed in that we can get out of 2 gates that are much quicker than going out the east gate or the west gate. We can get out of 1 or 2 gates, for instance, going back to Dallas-Fort Worth, that shave off 15 minutes. That's significant. And if it's something that you wanted, if you know that, okay, well, we know we're going to want to go into Little Rock fairly regularly, or we know we're going to want to go into Hot Springs fairly regularly, it's just something you may want to consider it. It may not be important to you, but it could be. So you need to think about gates. Now, number 7, there are always hidden costs. However much you spreadsheet this thing, however much you look at it, there are going to be some things that are beyond the assessment. There are going to be some fees tied to, well, pet ownership. If you got a boat, is the boat going to be on a private dock? or are you going to have to rent a boat slip at the marina to keep the boat? There's transfer fees. There is the pardon the Alexa notification that you just heard in the background. You know what that is? I'll just go ahead and tell you what that is, and I'll tell you why it's coming. I've had whiteboards like all my life. I love whiteboards, but I haven't had one since building the studio here in Hot Springs Village. But I'm preparing that show that I told you about, the cost of living. What was the first half cost? So I invested in, it's not a lot of money, but I invested in a whiteboard that is like 24 by 40 inches on a stand, so I can write all this out and I can go over that with you. And it was just delivered. There you go. We've captured a moment together. Where was I? Hidden cost. You just need to take into account that there are going to be some hidden costs. The transfer fee. The transfer fee is, what are we up to? $2,000. There can be some utility connection fees. There may be some membership dues that you hadn't thought about. You just need to know, and as best you can, figure out what is it that you're likely going to want to do, and is there a cost associated with that? And if so, what is that cost? And you're just going to want to investigate that as best you can. Number 8, and we talk about this one fairly regularly, and I would call this one culture and pace. This is not a tourist town. Hot Springs is a tourist town. This ain't a tourist town. This is a quiet, friendly, sociable, but a slower pace. It just is. And you need to know that. I've said it many, many times, and it bears repeating. It's not for everybody. 45-year-old me would have loved to have come over here and spent some time. Don't get me wrong. But to think about being here and staying here, wouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen. I was in full mountain climbing mode, not literally, career-wise. This is a slower pace. And it takes me, I split so much time between here and Texas. The minute I hit the outskirts of DFW, it's a NASCAR race. It's just a NASCAR race. And there's something about it that I love. But by the time I leave and head back here, I'm pretty sick of the NASCAR race. I'm pretty ready to get off the track, But then I get over here and it's like, really? And I'm not talking about speeding. I'm talking about little aggravating things like the pace that you turn your car onto a street. I don't know. Should it take minutes for you to make a right-hand turn? I don't think so. But, I've got to be here for a while, and then, my patience expands. It grows a little bit. You get accustomed to it. So you need to know that. You just need to know that going in. So if you're coming here expecting there to be just a hubbub of activity, no, tap the brakes on that, because that's not where you're coming to. Which brings me to number 9, and that is social life. And social life can be whatever you want it to be. I just absolutely firmly believe this. Whether it's clubs, whether it's hobby groups, whether it's a church, whatever it is, you can be as sociable as you would like to be. You could also be a hermit if you wanted to be. And the great thing about it here is it's not going to come to you. I got an email from somebody. They came and they were by themselves. It was a single person, and I could tell they just were not impressed. And it wasn't that the place was standoffish, but it felt isolated to them. Now, I don't know this person at all, and I'm not throwing rocks at anybody because I'm an introvert. I look like an extrovert, but I'm not. But I suspected this was a person who came and expected the game to come to them. Hot Springs Village is not a place where the game comes to you. It's not. There's no imposition. There's nobody that's going to, come and knock your door down and drag you out and say, hey, come on, you need to get with it. You need to get a life and come and party and what. It ain't going to happen. It's not that kind of a place. So if you need that kind of, what's the word I would use? If you need that kind of encouragement, you're not coming to the right place. If you are wired that way and you really would like people to beat your door down and drag you out and make you go party, probably don't want to come here. I'm just saying. So that's number 9, social life. Let's talk about the 10th one, and I'm going to add an 11th. But the 10th one, I saved it for last, not because it's least important, but for me, it's one of the most important, and that is, I'm going to put all these in one big ball: wildlife, nature, and climate. Wildlife, nature, and climate is what brought me here. We came here in 2018 because I was looking for this kind of topography. I was looking for these kinds of trees, these big, massive, 1 to 200, 300 foot trees, deer, yeah, sure, snakes, all the rest of it, just all the rest of it. Was just looking for this. And hills, lots of hills, lots and lots and lots of hills and twists and turns. And, when you come from north central Texas, where we come from, man, it's on a clear day. I don't know, from Fort Worth, you might be able to see Amarillo, I mean, it's just flat. And this is just so different. And I love it. I love it. Climate, I've said it before, I'm a Southern boy, so, it being 90 some odd degrees outside today, like it is, that doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't bother me at all. But I'm inside. So there's that. I got AC going for me. There are many of you who are contacting me from up north, and you're just so sick of shoveling snow. You're not going to shovel snow here. If it snows, you're not going to shovel it. You're just going to wait until it melts, because it's not going to stay all that long. The summers might be tough for you to adapt to if you have lived in a place where you've never had air conditioning, because, well, we don't need it. It doesn't get that hot. It gets hot here. You're going to need air conditioning. You're going to be glad you have it. You're going to be thankful for air conditioning here. But, I was having lunch with some folks, some of the Diamante folks, and we were talking about golf, because one of the questions that I get when it comes to the climate and it comes to golf in particular is like, okay, I read and I hear you say that golf is a year-round thing. I mean, is that true? And it is true. In fact, the folks at Diamante told me just today that, and they're closed every Monday. So that's 52 Mondays in a year. And then there may be 1 or 2 special event things that go on where the place is shut down. But they surmise that over the course of a year, weather may prevent them from opening 10 days. 10. Now, this is not statistically valid. This is just us having a lunch and talking this out. But the point is, the climate here, the winters are moderate. The summers are hot and humid, but it's all relative. Relative to West Texas, relative to North Central Texas, relative to South Texas, not nearly as bad. Relative to Southern Louisiana, where I spent a considerable part of my life, that's hot and humid. This ain't the same hot and humid as Southern Louisiana. So again, it's all relative, but this is a great place to come for 4 distinct seasons. The place looks very different. It feels very different. Nature responds very different. It looks very different, but it's great. It's great. Right now, everything is green. There's foliage everywhere. And in a matter of months, the leaves will begin to fall, and you'll see things that you can't see right now because there's too much foliage covering it. And the critter activity changes, and all of that's cool. All of that is very cool. But the answer to the golf question, yep, you can play golf year-round here. I'm going to mention a bonus one, number 11, because for us, this was a really important one, and that is distance, to get our heads wrapped around the distance between home and here. Home being where the kids are, where the grandkids are. But I'm increasingly, as I talk to more and more of you, I'm realizing that you're making a decision probably the way Rhonda and I would also make a decision if that were our situation. It's just not our situation. All of our family is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we aren't plagued with, we've got some kids on the East Coast, and we got some kids on the West Coast. So where do we go? Do we join the kids on the East Coast? And then how do the kids on the West Coast feel about it? And if we go join the kids on the East Coast, what if something happens to their career and they leave? I mean, we've gone there just because they're there. And if they're not there, then now what do we do? So now we got to uproot. And so many of you have made decisions that you're just going to find. I would put people in two categories. One is there's that group of people that we're not going to go where the kids are because the kids are spread out. So we're just going to decide where we want to be. We're going to go to where we want to go. And yes, we're going to take into account, is there an airport? Can we get to an airport so we can fly when we do go see the kids? The answer here is yes. Roughly an hour away, you got Little Rock. You can fly out of Little Rock and you can go anywhere in the world. Yeah, you're probably going to go through DFW to do that, but you can. So there's that group of people. We're just going to figure out where we most want to be and what best suits us, and that's where we're going to go. And we're going to call that our home base. And we're going to go see the kids as often as we want to and as often as they'll let us. And when they come and see us, that's great and wonderful. The second group are people who are thinking a little bit more strategically, and that is trying to get someplace that's central. So let's take the example of a son and a daughter. One's on the West Coast, one's on the East Coast. So we want to be somewhere in the middle of the country. That way we're not too many hours of a flight away from either one of them. If we needed to jump on a plane and go to either one of them, doable. We can do that. So there are people that are thinking more in the central part of the country. And for that reason, I do hear from people that are considering places like Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. These are the states that tend to come up. Well, mostly for people that are really wanting their dollars to go further, I hear from people that are considering parts of Oklahoma or Arkansas. 6 1/2 dozen another as far as the geography goes. I mean, as far as being in the center part of the country, kind of a thing. For us, we knew that we didn't want to be an airplane right away. We wanted to be driving distance. Now, I did have a big consideration, and that's my business. I do executive and leadership coaching for city government leaders, and all of my clients are in Texas. And so, for us, it's like, okay, well, we're just going to split our time. Yep, we'll spend as much time as we can in Hot Springs Village, but we're clearly going to have to spend some time in DFW because I got business over there and we got family over there. And we didn't want to do this plane ride thing all the time. 5 hours from door to door, from here to there, 5 hours, one way. That's doable. That's super doable. Your situation and quite literally your mileage may vary. So these are just a few things more for you to consider, not before you move to Hot Springs Village, but before you think about moving to Hot Springs Village. And I know the list, it may sound, oh man, alive, you kidding me? This is a big deal. This is a big deal. I do not at all want to minimize the journey that you're on in trying to consider where should we land, and should we think about this place? And the last thing that I would want is for you to make a poor choice and regret it. So we want to do this with as little regret as we can, and the way to do that is to be as prepared as we can and to ask as many questions as we can, and for us to try to figure this out. And hsvinsideout.com hopes to do that. Yes, I'm trying to shine a bright, nice light on Hot Springs Village because I love it, and it's awesome. And those of us that are here, by and far, are there exceptions? Of course there's exceptions. But by and far, we all love it. We all love it. I hear it every single week from a listener. At least once a week, I hear, we wish we'd have come sooner. But that may not be you. So I don't want you to feel any pressure from, the group or the crowd or peers to think, well, what do you mean you don't love it? It may not be for everybody. And if it's not for you, you need to figure that out. And we hope to help you do that. Okay, so let me tease what's coming up. A number of things are coming up. There's a tour of the Diamante Golf Course. So there are many of you that country club life, it's appealing to you. I'm pleasantly pleased at the number of you that you haven't lived that kind of a life. But now at this stage of life, and now that I got time, and wife and I both like to play golf and blah, 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 and kind of interested in it. And the Diamante Golf Course and Country Club is, well, it's magnificent. I'm not a member. I'm pitching it because I'm just so thoroughly impressed with it. If I played golf, I'll put it this way. If my wife and I played golf together, it would just be a no-brainer. It would just absolutely be a no-brainer. But neither of us play golf. And because we split our time, my situation's different, but it's such a great place, and the people are so great. I just can't say enough about it. If you go to the website, hsvinsideout.com, you'll see a link to Diamante, and you can go check that out. And you need to reach out and contact Terry Socia. She is the, I don't know what she is. What are you, Terry? The new membership coordinator or some such thing. Anyway, she's the know-all, be-it-all kind of gal over there and can really help you out. But I'm going to do a tour of the golf course, the pickleball courts. If you're a pickleball fanatic, honey hush. I mean, they got it going on. These are world-class pickleball courts. I mean, I've seen some pickleball courts. I'm not a pickleball player, but you're going to see a show about their pickleball courts. I'm also going to interview the chef over there. They've got world-class dining, and so I'm going to do a show about that. So those are some things that are coming up about Diamante. Also going to lean hard into showing you some houses that are on golf courses and talking to some people who moved here and they wanted to live on a golf course. And guess what? They're living on a golf course. So what's it like? What's it like to live on a golf course here inside Hot Springs Village? We've talked to a couple of people that live on lakes, and I'm going to continue to do that as well. But now we're going to start talking to some folks that, okay, what's life like on a golf course here? Also going to show you some Airbnb suites that are available here. And I'm particularly going to show you, I'm going to show you at least two of our favorites when we were coming over here and renting these Airbnbs. Also going to do some house tours of various houses to give you some sense and some idea of how far would your dollars go here. I mean, like what if we wanted to spend $400,000? Like what kind of house would that be? And I'm going to increasingly show you more and more of Brandon Tedder's new homes built by Renaissance Homes, and a big show that I'm planning. Brandon is building some villas. These are going to be short-term rentals, and incorporated with you coming to stay, these will be places where these golf parties, guys and gals, that want to go take these golf excursions, you'll be able to come and you'll be able to stay at these places, and you'll be able to play on multiple golf courses, and the accommodations are going to be awesome. And the access that you will have to be able to play some rounds of golf will also be awesome. And it's going to be big. It's just going to be big. And I'll be showing you those things as we get closer and closer to the opening date. These are being built right now, and they are on Madeiras. It's the prettiest street in the village, in my opinion. It's a boulevard, and one lane's going one way and one lane's going the other way, and there's a clump of trees the whole length of this thing between the two, and it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And these villas are on that street, and so it's going to be great. There's going to be golf carts at each one of these villas. You'll be able to just park your car and take your golf cart and go where you want to go and play as much golf as you can stand. So that's all exciting. And those are just some of the things coming up. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I know I went long, but these are big decisions, and I just want you to get it right. So I appreciate you. HSVinsideout.com. That's the website. My name's Randy. Thanks for click and play.
Thanks for watching Hot Springs Village Inside Out. You'll find all our episodes at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com or on YouTube.